fresh wave of Russian airstrikes have targeted key energy facilities and more residential sites across the country.
The new attacks have left hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians without power or water ahead of the harsh winter. And officials say nearly one-third of Ukraine's power stations have been destroyed in strikes this past week. Ukraine's capital came under attack yesterday by a swarm of suicide drones, killing at least 4 people. The city's mayor called Russia a terrorist state, accusing the Kremlin of targeting civilians. Meanwhile, in Russia last night, a bomber plane crashed into a residential building during a training exercise, killing more than a dozen people, and several more were hurt. Initial reports say one of the engines caught fire during takeoff. Russian authorities say they are investigating.
For more, let's bring in Tomasz Grzywaczewski. He's a journalist, author, filmmaker, and expert in Central and Eastern Europe studies. He has spent several months in Ukraine covering the war. Just thank you for joining us, first of all. And I just want to get right to it. How will Russia's shift in using these drones change, I guess, the overall course of the war? It's such a different strategy.
Hello, thank you very much for having me here. And taking into consideration the recent attacks with drones, supposedly Iranian drones, against critical infrastructure and residential buildings all around Ukraine, it is quite apparent that currently Russia is unable to reverse the course of the warfare in the eastern and southern front line. The Ukrainians are regaining more and more of occupied territories. In the past few weeks, they have managed to liberate great swaths of territory close to Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine, but also they've managed to liberate a bunch of villages close to Kherson. And also, finally, Ukrainian forces managed to target infamous Crimean bridge that is connecting Crimean Peninsula with continental Russia. So right now, Russia is trying to destroy the critical infrastructure. It is also trying to intimidate civilian population. However, from what I've learned during the last months, I can say that Ukrainian people are extremely courageous and determined to protect their homeland. I even noticed that their behavior has changed. As at the beginning of the war, when I was there in March, of course, people were panicked. A million of Ukrainians fled to neighboring countries, including my homeland, Poland. Currently, they are behaving in a different way. This is something horrifying, but they got used to Russian airstrike, drone strike, missile strikes.
Tomasz, I'm wondering, though, does that change as civilians appear to be more targeted, as critical infrastructure and the ability for Ukrainians to even live their daily lives separate from what's happening on the battlefield? Does all of that change? And then what type of air defenses is needed then, especially as we're looking at the harshness of winter, to be able to help the Ukrainian people?
Actually, Ukrainians right now need anti-missiles, Western anti-missile systems that are capable of destroying not only kamikaze drones, this loitering munition, but also cruise missiles and also supersonic missiles, because Russia can also use such a weaponry in the future. Like the dreamlike scenario is to provide Ukraine with Patriot anti-missiles and anti-aircraft systems. However, it is rather possible next year, because the US is quite reluctant to provide it currently. It is also because it needs Patriot systems to protect NATO member states. So in fact, right now, in the NATO member countries, munition and weaponry factories are trying to produce more anti-aircraft systems.
That's right.
Yeah, that's another phase of this war. This war proved us that, in fact, I'm talking about the NATO member states, we don't have enough air defense systems on stock, because apparently we haven't been prepared for such a full-scale invasion and the war between a superpower and another state. We're preparing rather to fight with non-state actors like in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Right.
And currently we need to switch to the reality in which there are states or even superpowers that are fighting each other. And it needs all of us to be prepared for such a full-scale war that is going on in Ukraine. I don't want, of course, to intimidate to anyone, but I think that we just need to be prepared, particularly taking into consideration that Russia is ready to kill as much civilians as they can. They are trying to destroy the Ukrainian nation. This is what I've learned from being there. Yeah. The aim of Russia is to destroy Ukrainian statehood and to exterminate Ukrainian nations. That's why Russians are committing not only war crimes, but also acts of genocides in Ukraine. And it is going right now. When we are talking here, there are some people that are being tortured, occupied, killed, or deported to Russia. So there are ongoing war crimes against civilian populations every hour and, unfortunately, every minute going on there in Ukraine.
And it's such a reminder that with the end of the Cold War, people thought that the balance of power had changed, that there weren't going to be those types of wars between superpowers, and now we're perhaps on the
happening
precipice
here and elsewhere as well.
All right,
Thank you
Tomasz
so much.
Grzywaczewski, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.